Welcome back to the Hewling Sports Report. I'm Andy Hewling, and I'm joined by Delaney Baro, one of my colleagues over at Eagle Eye TV. She's a sports reporter, and she's done a heck of a job over this year for us and is one of our best reporters out there on the field. Delaney, how are you doing, and how are you adjusting to online?
I'm doing pretty good. It's definitely a challenge, bigger than I thought. It's just interesting learning environment, especially being at home with it's kind of hectic household with three brothers trying to do schoolwork at the same time and dogs running around. It's a lot going on, but it's definitely been a fun challenge considering there's like no sports to watch, but it's definitely different and unexpected.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been really strange. Obviously, Auburn is a ghost town right now. Like you can go anywhere and get there in like 5 minutes compared to when there's all students and traffic and things like that around 5 o'clock. And now there's just nothing, and it's crazy. But you had to move out, obviously, of your dorm. So how was that leaving early in the semester when you normally wouldn't have had to?
It was really sad. I was surprised that there were not as many people there when I went, and it was just weird because last year move out was crowded. There were tons of people doing it at the same time, and obviously move in, everybody's moving in at the same time. But this was kind of just like on my own. It was just me and my mom packing everything up, and it felt wrong because normally I do that in late April and it's late March and I have boxes all over my room, and normally I wouldn't get to go through those till May, and now I'm supposed to be doing that in March, and just everything's kind of off schedule. So it's definitely not what I was expecting and how I wanted this year to end, but
Yeah. So obviously we know you're a big Patriots fan. And the whole Tom Brady thing happened just a few days ago. What was your reaction to him going to the Buccaneers? I know a lot of people are still trying to process this, but what are you thinking about his move to Tampa Bay?
I mean, it definitely hurt me personally because to me, he is the GOAT. And I thought that it would be amazing for him to finish his career in New England. He's only has probably a couple more years. No offense, Brady, but his performances have been on the decline. It's impressive how long he's been able to remain in the league as a quarterback, but I did not expect him to just uproot his entire life and move to Florida, Tampa Bay. And I think that he has the potential to still be a star there, but just completely starting over the fan base and uprooting his family. I mean, I'm surprised that he did it, but I'll be cheering for him still. Maybe not the Buccaneers, but him.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm sure it's very hard. It's like any great player, leaving and going to a different school or even professional organization. I'm sure that's definitely tough. But he is one of the greatest of all time. He's contributed to that organization through so much and so many Super Bowls and great moments. So it'll be weird watching him on a different team, but maybe you get to play him in the Super Bowl. That'd be really weird. And maybe Jarrett Stidham is leading the Patriots, huh?
Who knows? It will be an interesting NFL season this year for sure.
That will be strange to see who fills the shoes of Tom Brady at the quarterback position. But we're going to transition from that over to college football, where we're going to watch a classic game from last season's football between Auburn and Alabama. And Delaney, obviously you and I were at this game in person and on this field behind me, Jordan-Hare Stadium, which is one of the best places to watch a college football game, especially an Iron Bowl. And man, this was quite a game. Real quick before we watch it, what was your reaction? I know I've asked you this once, but just this whole game, what was the feeling like just being on the field and like hearing the intensity of the crowd and then just watching what unfolded on the field?
I just found it so hard to believe that it was real. Like everything happened so fast. My jaw was literally dropping on the sidelines. It was so hard for me to keep a neutral face. People around me were like, "What is happening?" And then somebody talked about they were getting ready to storm the field, and like, no, they're not going to let them storm the field. We're not going to win. And then they're like, you better get ready to run. And it was just, everything happened so fast, and it was so unexpected, and it was one of the craziest feelings ever.
Yeah, definitely. I remember at the end of that game, I remember we had delegated me to go get the handshake. I remember just through the adrenaline of that game, I just like let all my energy out, like dashing down this field to the midfield because I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I get the handshake and then I turn around and there's like 10,000 students heading my way. I was like, dang, this is awesome. But yeah, so we're going to check it out. And we're actually going to watch our own highlights that we filmed for Eagle Eye TV. So this will be really fun. I'm going to turn on the share screen and just give me 1 second. Okay. Whoops. There we go. All right. Let me make it full screen. Let's get this started. Oh, I think, is this the hurdle? Oh, yeah.
Insane.
That was a beast jump. Najee does that so many times.
Yeah, he was incredible that game.
He really is. Smoke. What a guy. Man, I'm going to miss Booby Willa. Like, sure, he didn't do a lot, but, like, he still was really good.
Yeah, he was. And I remember I had class with him, and he was just, it was so interesting, like seeing a football player in the
Yeah.
academic environment, and just impressive still how they're able to manage all of
Yeah.
those responsibilities.
There's Najee again. Najee's, I think is he going to the draft, or I think is he coming back to Bama?
I'm unsure,
Yeah.
but either way, I'm sure that he will have another very successful season.
And then this was one of the plays of the game right here. Smoke Monday.
This was so good.
The crowd was so loud at that moment. It was incredible.
It was deafening. Like, the footage I was getting, I was like, what is happening? Like, this is just amazing. Like, you were just
Yeah.
have to be there, like, in the right place at the right time.
And then Jalen Waddle. Man.
Oh my gosh. I got this clip, and every time he would do his little celebration, I like couldn't, like, I shook my head, but I couldn't help but smile because he just knew how good he was, and he was so impressive to watch.
I know, right? And it's crazy that 3 of Alabama's wide receivers aren't going to the pros. They're all coming back.
That is crazy. I guess they feel they have something to prove.
Yeah, I think after that game they're mad.
Definitely.
Oh, this play.
Oh my gosh. That was when my jaw was on the floor. I was just, the guy beside me, he was an Alabama photographer, and he just like started looking around like he had no clue what happened either. I was like, I don't know. Like, it was wild.
Yeah. This is insane. And they ran right to me, which was amazing because I got like that close to them.
That's such good footage.
And then Waddle yet again. It was literally the Jalen Waddle show.
Mm-hmm.
And then Waddle again.
So good.
Oh, yes, boom.
Oh, that. Iconic.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, this is a 2-point conversion. It's awesome that Bo Jackson's nephew gets to score against Bama.
That's awesome.
Doink.
You're crazy.
Oh, man. And then when we stormed the field, I still can't believe I actually found you on the field because, like, that was the first thing I was thinking. I was like, I'm never going to find Delaney.
Yeah, and then the amount of time that it took us to get off the field was
Yeah.
insane. Like,
Yeah, we didn't even have to wait for Gus because, like, when we got set up, I'm pretty sure he came in.
Mhm.
Uh, just good stuff right there. Stop.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those games where I did not mind having to work late into the night because it was all worth it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I think that's just something we'll both remember, obviously, as media people, but I mean, everyone who's an Auburn fan will never forget that game. Yeah, it was just such a thrill to do that. And it was funny because, like, I was thinking about that after that game. I was like, man, I'm never gonna forget that. Like, that was just such a good memory to be a part of that game. But yeah, and there's the fact that there was so much scoring in that game. I mean, 48-45, that's, like, so high to me for an Iron Bowl. I know we saw it in 2014 when it was 55-44, but, like, that was just, like, two really good offensive teams. Like, I don't know, it was really strange. I mean, very uncommon for both those teams.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the score, I was like, can it go any higher? It just kept tallying up.
And that the second quarter from I remember I watched it a couple of days ago on SEC Network. They were having the Auburn Day,
Mhm.
and I was watching the second quarter, and I was just thinking about again that 38 points were scored in the second quarter alone after, like, with 7 minutes left. Like, it wasn't in the full thing. It was after 7 minutes left in the second quarter. There were 38 points scored, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was wild.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah, so going in, one more question for you. So we've got, obviously, this whole summer, most sports have been wiped out. Um, Mostly NCAA sports, which was really unfortunate. A lot of professional sports are trying to finish their seasons or start their seasons if they're MLB. Where do you see leagues having to move or keep moving ahead? Like, what are they going to have to do to I mean, obviously it's going to have to do with what the US government says and what health professionals are telling them, but is there a solution, do you think, to, like, finish seasons like the NBA or MLS soccer, like things like that, or should they just go ahead and think, okay, we just need to start a new year when our season starts again, because this just has no solution?
I think it all depends on how everything progresses because obviously if this goes into late summer, it's going to be very hard for MLS, NBA, them to finish strong. I know MLB has expressed interest in playing double headers in order to catch up on their seasons, but it just depends because, like you said, they have to follow the government, and I know everybody wants to see the NBA finish their season, especially me as a Boston fan, um, a fan of all New England sports. The Bruins were doing great, Celtics were doing great, and that to be cut short, I know that they want to finish their seasons, but it's really just going to depend on how things get under control.
Yeah, I agree. And one question for you as well, as far as NCAA sports. So they were canceled weeks ago, but do you think the SEC, the NCAA were a little too hasty to do that, or were they thinking more long term that this is not going to be solved? The NCAA will lose money as well as D1 schools because tournaments won't be played and they won't be on TV. Well, I mean, they would be on TV, but, like, if they don't play them, they're not going to have those TV deals and all, and those would be cut short. Uh, but yeah, do you think the NCAA handled that right?
I think that, like you said, they were thinking more long term. And the way that, so they are losing money, like especially Turner Sports, no March Madness, that's wild. Um, and everybody's kind of clueless with no sports going on. What are we supposed to be keeping up with? But I think in the long run, they initially made the decision with that in mind. But then I don't think as much thought was placed into like the eligibility issues, especially with the seniors who, for Auburn, for example, hoping to make another deep run into the tournament. But if you give those seniors an extra year of eligibility when their season was almost over, what are you going to do with the juniors, and how is that going to affect funding and scholarships offered within the program? And so I think initially it was made long-term interest, but after further evaluation, more problems arose.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I think a lot of people would like to see those, seniors players get eligibility. Some of them have. They've granted spring seniors eligibility in sports. But would you agree that basketball and winter sports should get the same eligibility, even though that could make a lot of teams stacked, especially your bigger teams in the Power Five conferences?
Personally, like I was saying, I think it would like I would love to see it because there are so many talented senior athletes this year, and it just seems to me like even more so than usual those big names that are standing out. And I would love to see them get to finish their season strong. But at the same time, like I said, it would create issues. Say a freshman or a rising freshman was going to come and they had a spot for him because the senior was graduating. If the senior stays, they no longer have a spot for them. But it would be amazing if they could possibly just push the tournament till later, maybe finish it depending on how everything progresses, like late
Mhm.
summer, early fall, in order then that way they wouldn't have to give them a full year of eligibility, but they would still be able to finish their senior seasons.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that was something I was thinking that they would do, that they would just postpone it and maybe
Mhm.
move it to later, but I think just with all the sports that arise, especially college football coming soon, it's just a weird timetable, for those things to take place, and, yeah, it's unfortunate. I think, I thought that I agree with you. I think the NCAA handled it the right way, but maybe we would have liked to have seen, play still happen, but at a later date and time, and not just say, oh, it's all done. But yeah, I mean, the NCAA is, I think, in the right way to run their business. I mean, I'm in a business minor, but like I'm no business professional. I'm sure there was some financial reasoning that brought this decision, because I don't think it had to do with just seniors and players in the play. I think if they wanted to play, they could have played. But there was probably a financial reasoning for this. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to shut it down here for this video. Delaney, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Always good talking to you.
Good talking to you too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next video.